a legend in John Harbaugh. I think not all situations are equal. Again, like you're going to hear this a gazillion times. We're in the voluntary part of the offseason, but I think symbolically it was very important.
I know we got a lot of offseason left, Mr. T, but owner Steve Bisciotti came out before the new league year and said they wanted to get Lamar Jackson extended. How concerned would you be if we go through this entire offseason and Lamar Jackson doesn't have a new contract?
Yeah, actions speak louder than words. Like, clearly they want to do that. And if something doesn't get done, that may tell you what Lamar's feelings about being a Raven are. Now, him being there yesterday is a great start, but I would be, again, there's, to me, like, such a sense of urgency with any of these, like, great players that are in their prime. Like, we only, like, every day you read about TV rights only going up more and more and more, and that's good for everybody, especially the owners and the players. So if we have Lamar Jackson, we don't want him to go anywhere. Like, every day it's only going to get more expensive. So if a deal doesn't get done, Chris, maybe that tells you that maybe he doesn't want to be there, and hopefully that's not the case. But I know they've tried to do this now for a couple of years.
We know that Lamar has
Hold on,
earned.
you said a couple of years.
Right? Haven't they talked to him for a couple of years?
Wow. Okay.
I mean, reportedly that's happened. And I know one of the challenges is he doesn't have an agent. And sometimes even when they try to do simple things like convert base salary to sign bonus to lower the cap number, that's been challenging.
Lamar has earned a monster deal. 2-time MVP. He's been incredible at his craft. Is there any reason why the Ravens wouldn't want to get this deal done or wouldn't want to pay Lamar what he's earned?
Well, the only question would be, durability. He only played, 13 games last year, but that to me would be the only look. Typically when you talk to coaches and you say, like, hey, you take the best situation you can get and then you make the most of it and you make it better. That's what coaching is. And typically I would say to them, like, you never go to a situation where there's a lot of great young players and a great quarterback. Like, Jesse Minter actually went into that situation where there's a lot of great young players and a quarterback that is, as Michelle, you just said, a 2-time MVP in his prime. So what I think is really interesting about this situation, guys, is like Jesse Minter's honeymoon's about 10 minutes. Like, he's a rookie head coach in the NFL. Like, that's a hard job. Like, that,
especially of a team that has this heavy of expectations upon them.
No question about it. So, like, to me, like, and I'm a fan of his. I think he's going to be good. But you talk about a guy that has like we could talk about Jeff Hafley. Like, they don't have to win a game for a couple of years, like what they're doing, right? Like, but the honeymoon for Jesse Minter is really small.
Mike, I want to go back to something we're talking about. Mike Tannenbaum, ESPN NFL front office insider. You said about Lamar, if he wants to be there,
right?
Okay, so that's a bold statement that you're just kind of working into this. So if Lamar Jackson does not sign a contract extension by when, should the Ravens think he doesn't want to be there?
I would think by, like, opening day, because, again, it goes back
to... if he's not extended by opening day, they should take it as he doesn't want to be here long term.
Well, I would be a concern. I mean, it goes back to what Chris said. Like, when the owner comes out and says, hey, we want to get a deal done, like, I mean, there's no ambiguity there. Like, that's the guy. Like, the buck stops with Steve Bisciotti, and if he comes out, as he did, understandably, and if they don't get a deal done again this offseason, of course I would be concerned. Yeah, and then you have to start thinking about, like, well, what's the issue? Why does he want to be here? And then do we have to, start thinking about drafting his alternative, much the way we saw Jordan Love get drafted to replace Aaron Rodgers? But yeah, if the owner says that we want you here and a deal doesn't get done, I mean, yeah, that would be, of course, a reason to be concerned.
Mr. T, yesterday, all-pro defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence asked out, requesting a trade from the New York Giants. What do you make of that situation?
Well, we know New York Giant defensive tackles can be really hard to deal with, especially if they're drafted from the ACC. So is anybody surprised?
It's a pattern. It's a pattern.
Good point.
All right, I'm leaving.
You've done your job.
Well played. Well
You've done your job.
I think he's a great player. And along the lines of what we just talked about, guys, like, knowing John Harbaugh the way we all know him and, like, what he stands for, like, it would not surprise me if he was traded. Like, your first year, obviously he's been a long time head coach, first year with the Giants, and I'm setting the foundation for our program. And if you don't want to be here, what would Coach Tomlin say right now? We want volunteers, right?
Not hostages.
Yeah, not hostages. And I remember Coach Parcells going back to 1997, first year at the New York Jets, cut and trade some pretty notable players. Look at what Miami's doing. Cut, traded notable players. And Dexter Lawrence is a great player. They would get, I don't know, maybe a second-round pick for him. He's only 28 years old. So that kind of caught me a little bit by surprise because the strength of that team right there is up front. So that'll be interesting. I as a player, I wouldn't be the one that wanted to test John Harbaugh's resolve.
Mm-hmm. But if Dexter Lawrence does, in fact, move on from the New York Giants, that they part ways, how does that change the way you view this team and their chances of winning football games?
Yeah, well, it may impact my strategy a little bit and thinking like, hey, we may have to draft a defensive tackle, knowing like we have, all these other needs. They certainly could use another offensive lineman, another receiver, but
Good year for down linemen.
Yep. So I think it could certainly, Michelle, impact their strategy. I know, like, from a front office perspective, that you'd like to have, when you have a new staff, you want them to look at their, and it's not outcome determinative, but you want the coaches around these players somewhat to help formulate and shape the discussion around needs and wants and musts and your strategy. So Dexter Lawrence is a really, really good player. And if they're really having that conversation, like, well, is this going to be, how much of a pain in the neck is he going to be? Do we cut our losses? Like, those are the things I'm sure they're talking about.
We're talking with Mike Tannenbaum, of course, ESPN NFL front office insider here on Sportsmanlike, presented by Progressive Insurance. Mike, who starts more games at quarterback this year for the Raiders, Fernando Mendoza or Kirk Cousins?
I hope it's Cousins. Like, we want Mendoza to be great for the next 10 years. They gave up 64 sacks last year, most of the NFL. Now, Colton Miller will be back. Obviously, they signed Tyler Lindenbaum. But what's the rush? What is the rush? Like, I'm hard-pressed to think that even if Fernando Mendoza turns out to be a B+, they're still not the fourth best team in that division. So let's get the offensive line settled. We got a rookie head coach who's never been a head coach before. Let's get him settled in his role. And signing Kirk Cousins, to me, made a ton of sense. Like, let him be the stabilizing guy.
Mr. T, what are you hearing about Ty Simpson and potentially where he's going to go now that we've had some of the pre-draft visits, pre-draft visits take place?
Yeah, I we keep hearing our insiders say they can't find a team. I'd be shocked if he didn't go in the first round for a couple of reasons. One, I think he's a really good player. And secondly, so many teams need a quarterback. When you talk about Arizona and the Jets, and then even get into the Clevelands and the Minnesotas, amongst many others. And, if you look at what the Giants did last year, trading up to 25 to get back in the bottom of the first round, we saw, ironically, talk about Lamar. Several years ago, they traded up to 32 to get that fifth-year option. So if you're thinking about, if you're Arizona or the Jets, you're at the top of the second, you want to slide into that first to get that fifth-year option.
Mike Tannenbaum, you'll see him on SportsCenter as well as Get Up at 8 a.m. Eastern. We have 10 seconds. Quick comment on Michigan winning it all?
Yeah, absolutely. Glad my tuition's going somewhere.
Mike T is claiming he paid for Yaxel. That's what he did. He paid for it. And
he's a contributor.
Great contributor to Michigan winning a championship as a Michigan dad, obviously with them winning it all.
The New York Giants offseason program begins Tuesday, but with one very large absence. Adam Schefter reporting that Giants defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade and will not be participating in the team's offseason program. Now, Sexy Dexy has 2 years remaining on his contract, but there has reportedly not been any progress on contract negotiations between Lawrence and the team over the past 2 off seasons. Now, it is a change of scenery what's best for Lawrence. He is coming off career lows in sacks, tackles, and quarterback hits, despite playing a career-high 17 games. It was also the first season since 2021 that Dexter Lawrence wasn't a Pro Bowler.